Good afternoon, everyone. We are live back with the Prospero.ai stock market live streams. If you're here early, you're one of our more dedicated viewers. So, like up the video. We're going to get into a lot of topics today. Obviously, this week has unfolded very bearishly, which seems to be good timing by George to have flipped bearish over the weekend with his newsletter. So, we'll get into all of that. The SPY is just barely red as we speak, and it's working as it's on its fifth straight down day. So what I want to ask George is, although he may be overall bearish, is there any buy the dip opportunity setting up here as we are consistently red? So maybe we'll just get a brief relief in either this Thursday or Friday trading session with these 5 straight days. It looks like we're going to end red today as of now, and a lot of stocks making big moves. Tesla under 300. I might bring up that when we talk about um, this topic as well. We have Supermicro having filed their financial statements at the deadline. They waited till as long as they could, but they got it done. So the stock is up, and it was up today even in this red market. Let's see where if it's fading back or holding steady. Let's see. So SMCI right now is up at 51, up 12% on the day. It has been giving back slightly so far throughout the day, but you can't complain when the market is so red to be that green, right? So now that SMCI has this deadline date behind them, I want to ask George how he feels about them going forward now that they could kind of focus on the business, and that this fraud or whatever they were facing is no longer seemingly a threat to them, and they aren't going to get delisted. So seems like they're putting that behind them. Then we have Bitcoin plunging. So it was below 85K earlier when I was looking, and now it's below 84,000. Currently 83,877. So Bitcoin down over 5% today. It was holding up pretty well, I felt like, while a lot of these growthier areas of the market have been declining recently, but looks like Bitcoin is finally breaking lower. Where do we go from here? A lot of the stocks surrounding the crypto industry have been hit as well with this Bitcoin decline. So looking to go down. I saw a lot of people mentioning for a while that they expected Bitcoin to hit 80K because there was a big gap in its chart. So looks to be filling that as we speak. Once it does that, can we get constructive and see it work its way back higher? Maybe reclaim that 100K milestone again soon. Amazon came out and announced some upgrades to their Alexa product. It's going to be called Alexa Plus, and that is their AI version of it. It's going to be $19.99 per month, but if you're an Amazon Prime user, it will be free. So Amazon does a great job, I feel like, of just getting all of their products into Amazon Prime and making it so such an easy choice for people to become Prime members versus using their products as standalone, not in Prime. So another upgrade to the Prime package that so many people use. We have a couple more topics. Firstly, Eli Lilly back at the top of our signals. I saw George added it recently, and it was on our short-term bull list this morning. And they announced that they're going to be investing $27 billion into 4 USA manufacturing sites. Another bullish happening for them was that the FDA declared that the shortage of tirzepatide was over. So bullish for Eli Lilly and their products, but probably bearish for Hims, and that stock has been one that we've been covering and is now giving back a lot. Let's see where Hims is at as we're checking. So Hims is at $40 right now, down a lot. It peaked at just about $72. So it's given a lot of those gains back after the earnings. And I think one of their best-selling products, or if not the best-selling product for them, was the fact that they were able to take advantage of that shortage and make a compounded version of it. So we'll discuss those two companies. Then we have a leader in the Prospero signals in 2024, and it still looked good recently. AppLovin that got hit with a short report this morning by Fuzzy Panda and Culper Research. So what's going on with AppLovin? Obviously, the stock is down today. Hello, George. Welcome to the stream. We'll get into what if there's any actual meat to that report, or if it's a bit of fluff and Apple stock going forward. And then last but not least, we have the Trump $5 million gold card that was announced for people who want to get citizenship in the USA. It comes with a couple extra features to it, so we'll get into that and maybe how many trillions of revenue that we think it could provide for the US if it is to come to fruition. But today, let's see, is the market still red? It's so close. Yes, so we're down about 0.16% on the SPY. All of the markets are red across the board. The Dow Jones is actually the leading loss gainer of the day, down 0.5%. But George, we are down 5 straight days in the S&P, and you went bearish this weekend. Good timing. But are we setting up for any kind of relief rally, buy the dip moment? Down 5 straight days in a row. Seems like it can't go on forever, right? Or wrong?
I think I have to. I think it's delayed. I gotta reset my computer. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. Everybody stick here with me. George will be back in a moment, and we will get right into the topic that I was just setting up for. And I think want to ask about maybe a few of the stocks that have made the biggest moves recently. If you guys want to bring up any stocks specifically, comment them in the chat as always, and we'll be sure to get to them. One of them, obviously, that we talk about a lot, Tesla broke below $300 this week, giving back, all of its gains that it had gotten since the election, and even now. Here, let me remove. I think he's just frozen there, so I'll remove him and let me actually see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's now given back all of its gains that it had gotten since the election and then the inauguration. So what's going on with Tesla? A lot of people were super bullish on it, and it seems like their full self-driving is just a few months away now. So is it time to buy the dip there? Some other stocks, I see Google is now down at $172. It had such a tough time breaking through that $200 mark, now pulling back. So that's another one, maybe buy the dip on. D. Curtin says, let's hear your thoughts on Meta after the win streak. Looks like they gave some back. I saw Meta after that. What was their final win streak? Like 22 or 23 days. Then it went down in a row for like 6 or 7 days. So it seems to be trading in steady patterns. Now I see it's actually up today in this red market. So looking for some strength there. Let's check out the QQQ and the SPY net option sentiment to see how they are feeling today. Pulling up the QQQ first, and it is at 31, which is actually higher than it's been recently. It got as low as 3 the other day, so popping back up slightly, not necessarily a firmly bullish level yet, but good to be higher than it's been recently. SPY, not the case though. The SPY is still down at 0, where it's been at largely for the past just about a week now. When it went down there, it has barely budged since being there. So SPY hanging down at the lows of the range. I see David's comment, coin net option sentiment has dropped down to 84. Thoughts? Probably has to do with the Bitcoin plunge we're seeing today, right? I know a lot of the crypto miners and anything related to that space have been getting hit recently, but I'll let George give his thoughts when he gets in here, how he feels about it. I know it was one of our favorite stocks heading into this year. It seems like the crypto space is going through a bit of a pullback recently. Mario said SMCI. That's one of the topics we'll definitely get into. They were able to get the filing done at the skin of their teeth at the last second. So that stock is looking better. I'm curious to see what George has to say about SMCI now going forward from here, because now they can focus on their business again, start growing. And maybe even NVIDIA earnings, which are after the bell today, will affect SMCI. Or I see AMD is down at 104. AMD shareholders just can't catch a break. AMD stock just continues lower for what feels like to be a year straight now. It's at a 52 week low as we speak, or right close to it. Actually, yesterday was slightly lower. Where did it get to yesterday? It got down to 103, so it's basically right there. So not looking good for that stock. And every time I brought it up, George has been not too bullish on AMD. So we'll see what NVIDIA has to say today. First earnings report for NVIDIA since DeepSeek. We posted a short video about it, and some people in the comments seem to not be too scared about what DeepSeek does for NVIDIA. So I know George seems to think it's very important and could be hugely impactful, big risk for their business. So we will see. Do they think so too? If they do, they'll probably mention something about it, the risks about it today. If they don't mention about it, I would assume someone's going to ask a question about it. So we'll have to see. We've had over 280 people in the stream already today. Thank you all for being here. Sorry, we're just kind of in a standstill right now. We're waiting for George to get back in here. He's just working on his computer. On YouTube, I've seen we've had 5 likes already. Let's try to hit 10 before George gets back in here. Double digits is always good to see on YouTube. As we just wait here, to stray away from stocks for a moment, it is on the East Coast here today. It's about 55 degrees out, so great to have some warm weather. I was dying. It's been so cold this winter near me in northern New Jersey, so today is a breath of fresh air out there. I am ready for spring. Anyone else having experiencing these warm weather today? Hey, we hit 10 likes. Thank you everyone for liking the video. Let me open up the Prospero app and see what our short-term bull list is looking like. Bob said it's 74 in Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm jealous. I am jealous, Bob. I probably won't be there for a few months, probably not till June when I get maybe May, 74-degree day. Almost 80 in Mexico City. Man, you guys are lucky. You got all the warmth. You got all the warmth. All right, so I have the Prospero bull list pulled up, and right now I see snow at the top, which I saw, I believe, George added today. Then we have FSLR, which I've seen in there a couple times recently. We have Oracle, Baba, Lilly, Avgo, CRM, Dell, GameStop, which has been a consistent participant in that list for what seemingly a couple weeks now. And then rounding out the list, the 10th stock, NVIDIA, which is set to report. So let's see, which of these companies do I think is the most surprising on here? Maybe Oracle or Dell. I feel like Baba has been looking great in the signals for a while now. And I think, was it on Monday, I mentioned how Alibaba, Baidu, JD, and Pinduoduo were all in the signals, but as of right now, Baba's the only one left. So how's it looking?
Oh God, is it still doing that? Oh, God, some days my computer is just, it's like an older laptop, and because it's the only one that works with this camera, and it's like some days it just doesn't want to be cooperative. I'm going to try for like one more second, and then I'm just going to switch to the Prospero lab.
Okay, no problem. Me and the chat are just getting to know each other.
Yeah, sorry for the delay, everyone.
We pulled up the Prospero app though, so we're looking through the lists in there.
Yeah.
We can hear you fine. I think Mario, it's just it's a bit laggy, the picture, but the voice is good. You know what? For our viewers, let me grab a link for, if you didn't catch the stream on Monday, but you're here now, let me grab a link for you where we explained the new updated signal in the Prospero app. Institutional flow is now technical flow, and we posted a Nice, about
Am I
five-minute
still
video.
spotty?
Let me see. Let me make you big so we could tell easily. I mean, maybe slightly, but I feel like it's not too bad. Some people are commenting that you're not lagging for them either. So I don't know.
Okay, I'm just lagging for myself. All right. If
you're
you're not,
lagging from you're lagging from me too. So I don't know, but
yeah, I
uh,
mean, it's difficult to like watch yourself delayed. But we can go if I'm not lagging for other people. Let's give it a whirl.
all right. So I just wanted to jump into the overall markets now that we are. Let's see that this is still true. Yes, the SPY is still red. So we are working on our fifth straight red day. Just after you announced that you were bearish over the weekend. So how are you feeling now? Are we setting up for a little bit of a relief that we've been down now for 5 straight days, or more bearishness to come? What do you think? Hello?
Sorry, how am I feeling now, right?
Yeah. Overall
Um,
markets.
yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling very good. I mean, and it's one of those tough things. I'll check again. Um, we've got SPY. We've got SPY net option sentiment at 0, and QQQ was looking healthier for a good portion today. It might be lower again, given the QQQ is at 38, so that's a huge divergence. And it's a hard market to read. We're pretty even long short, but we might end the day again more short than long, given what we've seen.
Are any of the stocks that have moved big starting to become attracted to you? I'm thinking Tesla now sub 300, or any other things that, I mean, I see Google is down at 172, or any other things that look good in the signals that have kind of pulled back a little bit that you're interested in going long at all, or not yet?
I mean, I'm going to look for a good entry point on AppLovin again. Google's really tough. Anything that touches DeepSeek is still really tough for me. Tesla, because of like all of like kind of the protests around Elon Musk, I think that's really tough too. So yeah, I think it's a bit difficult all around on that.
So as we are speaking, Bitcoin is hitting a new low on the day. It's now down over 6.5% at 82,700 right now. It had been, I feel like, holding up so well as everything else was kind of giving back, but it seems to be catching to the downside now. How are you feeling about Bitcoin now that we've seen this big pullback over the past week from about 100K all the way down to 82,000 now?
I mean, this is why we always kind of stayed away from Bitcoin, Coinbase, everything like that in the past, just because it can be so tough to know where the floor is. Because it trades so much on momentum. So when things trade on momentum up, they trade on momentum down. And we're going to kind of stay away from it. I mean, it retreated a little in net option sentiment. For it has been low, so that was important to us. And yeah, we're going to be just very careful with it. We're bearish now. So it's something that we're keeping a close eye on, of like what is even safe. Cause there's a few times where the market's run a little bit and then turned really hard in the other direction. So we're very tentative.
Mario commented that he thinks it goes back to Steve Cohen's comments last Friday. Do you agree? I know you've referenced them before already. Does he really have
Yeah,
that much
no, I
pull?
mean, obviously for those that read my newsletter, I very much looked at that as like a warning shot. Steve Cohen, he doesn't speak very often, but when he does, he's speaking for a lot more than just himself, because a lot of people follow him. And he's a big market bellwether, and you're not going to be successful very often going against Steve Cohen. And that's kind of a saying on Wall Street. They say you don't make deals with Goldman Sachs, and you don't bet against Steve Cohen, right? Because like one of the classic things that like some people talk about is like oftentimes, you know, you even think that like there's many a person that have thought they've known more than him on the other side of a trade, only to find out they're missing something major that he knows, right? And this isn't that case, but I take it very seriously if Steve Cohen says he's bearish, right? Because he's also like he's also not someone that, because people take him so seriously, he's not the kind of person that would say he's short because he's actually more long and he's trying to fool people, right? Because he knows if he says he's bearish that people are going to follow. So he better be telling the truth, because if he was more long than short when he said it, he was only going to be hurting himself. Very different than Jim Cramer, who might be like saying he's bearish on something because he knows people will buy it, and he's actually, you know, him or his friends are playing it more in the other direction.
I saw recently he finally got behind Palantir right at the wrong time. But do you think Steve Cohen is the most important, impactful voice in the markets today? Or does anybody else come to your mind?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think in terms of like, I'm not really sure, like, you know, if you're talking about like the most respected or revered, you might be talking about like Jamie Dimon, in terms of just like, I think, you know, the cult of personality around him. But if you're talking about who the most people would want to be on the same side of a trade as them, that's definitely Cohen.
So we finally got our update last night or evening after the closing bell for SMCI. They waited till the final minute to file this financial right at the deadline, and now the stock is up today in this red market, and now this deadline is behind them. So how do you feel about SMCI, the stock, going forward from here, that they put this big downside risk possibility behind them?
I mean, I thought it was going to do better today. Like I should have taken profit on one of my positions. It's really like it's struggling now. And like I probably went too hard into the, like, I thought there was going to be a bigger recovery today. Like this is just it's a challenging market. And I honestly don't know if I'm going to keep holding. I mean, I think I might, but I mean, because QQQ net option sentiment is high, but it's like, yeah, it's a hard market to read.
I guess SMCI could kind of be, getting dragged down by the market. But even thinking like longer term, if someone's finally interested and they were waiting for this event to happen, can you become more constructive about their business now that this is behind them? Like I would imagine that that's a lot of, like when we were talking about it last week, you were saying it could be an 80% downside risk or something if they didn't file. Now all that's wiped off the table. I'd imagine you could feel much better about them longer term.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I'm holding, because I just think that like I think that overall I'm actually interested. I'm not sure I looked at net option sentiment today. It was lower yesterday, but I kind of want to take a look today, see what's going on with it, because like I just think the story's a lot better. And like, you know, right, it's only at 61. But right now, like it's hard to find value, especially in tech. And I think there's an argument for value in SMCI. And it might be more of a value market that we're heading into.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of value, I saw one of the stocks that we were very bullish on most of last year, Eli Lilly, was back up in our signals towards the top on our short-term bull list, and I think you added them as well. I saw two different points about them. One was that they announced a plan to invest $27 billion into the USA. They're going to be building 4 manufacturing sites. The other was that the FDA has declared that the shortage of tirzepatide, which was an ingredient in their weight loss drug, is over. So now companies like Hims that had been taking advantage of that and making products with compounds of that element are no longer able to do that. So less competition. So you feel very good about Eli Lilly again, and kind of with what you're saying about how the market may be looking more for value, that stock might fit that bill.
I mean, I'm not sure if Eli Lilly is value, but I do think like there are challenges in healthcare and people are worried about it. But I think if you look at like the GLP-1s that's still like, I think people are still very bullish on that. So it's easier to get behind that. And if you're looking for diversification, if you're looking for a healthcare stock that has upside, I think, Eli Lilly has as much upside as any healthcare stock. So it's a good way. It's a good way to balance your portfolio and still, find a good story about upside.
I almost forgot. We got some questions at the very beginning. I'm scrolling back up to look at them now. D. Curtin asked, what are your thoughts on Meta after the win streak? Looks like they gave some back now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they gave some back. They were like retreating in our screener a little bit, but it's still like our favorite long-term stock.
And then David asked about Coinbase. I think we already talked about it a bit, but he said it dropped, their net option sentiment dropped down to 84. If you have any other thoughts on Coinbase, I guess.
Yeah, that's very low. I mean, I'm glad I'm
out. Yes. Okay. So moving on from those, obviously, if anybody has any other stocks you want to hear about, just feel free to let us know in the comments. Amazon making updates to their Alexa product today. So it's going to be called Alexa Plus, and that seems like a new thing that all businesses are doing. They're just adding a plus to whatever product they already have. But so they announced some AI updates. It's going to be they're going to charge people $19.99 per month. Unless you are a Prime member, then you get all of it for free within the Alexa. And I thought they had a pretty good quote around it. They said, she'll learn the rhythm of your life and proactively take action with you. So how do you feel about Amazon with this AI update to Alexa?
I think that sounds very creepy.
You're not interested at all in the Alexa AI?
I don't want it to learn the rhythm of my life.
That's
weird. I can take care of myself. I don't need Alexa to do that for me. That sounds super creepy.
What are your thoughts on Amazon? I feel like they wrap everything, all of their products and services into the Prime so well that it almost leaves people like no choice but to become a Prime member because it just doesn't make sense. Almost like there's so much value in it. I feel like they pack it so well. So that has to be their main strategy, but I feel like they do it better than anyone.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so broad, so many products that it's like a catch-all that makes you take it seriously and it makes you get Prime.
Mm-hmm. So another stock that had been a leader and it just had been going crazy for so much of last year and so far this year, AppLovin, down today after short sellers question its Axon ad software. So the short seller Fuzzy Panda as well as Culper Research were the ones who came out with this. And quote for them is, we've been told they are stealing data from Meta in their e-commerce push. We also discovered AppLovin exploiting consumers and their data in ways which are clear violations of Google and Apple's App Store policies. So how do you feel about this AppLovin short report? Is there meat on the bone there?
When you hear short reports, it's always like you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because you never these shorters are already short and they have every incentive to exaggerate stories like that. Do I think there's probably a shred of truth to it? Yes. But the amount of truth, who knows, right? You always have to take it to a grain of salt. I still think, I don't know what proof they offered up. That would be interesting. We just have to take their word for it. How did they discover it? Those would kind of be all my questions. But I think you do, this is the risk, and we're out of AppLovin before today, so that's good. But this is the risk, right, of high momentum stocks, right? High momentum stocks can become short targets. So whether it's true or not, when they've run so much up, there's room to go down, and you can have people kind of swoop in.
Putting the tinfoil hat on, do you think there's any possibility that this short report can be linked to Meta, as they were mentioned in it? And obviously they're the biggest player in the ad space, and it's kind of revolving around them getting around the restrictions that Meta might have to hold themselves to. So do you think there could be linked? Any chance of that?
Certainly could be.
What do
Always
you
a
think?
possibility.
What do you think
Yeah,
the
like if
like?
we're
Are they
talking
low
about
odds?
how did they get the information for this report, like that's a fair question to ask.
Do you think Meta would ever come out in any way and like talk, like give their reasons for like how they got the data, or like what you were just saying, or are they going to stay away
No,
from it? And yeah,
I think they'd rather just leak as you know, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but I think that would certainly be their preference.
leak it, and they chose Fuzzy Panda as one of the people that they were going to use in the market. That's kind of funny. Um, Okay, next story we have for today, the Trump $5 million gold card, which I just heard about for the first time yesterday. I'm not sure if it actually was announced yesterday or not, but so this $5 million gold card is kind of like a green card, but it's for, I guess, very either wealthy people, people who do a lot of business outside of the country and want to become citizens within the country. He offered another explanation like, if overseas students in colleges go to any of these high-end schools, and then companies want to hire them because they're such talented people, like Apple or any of the tech companies, they would buy these people a card. But he gave a $1 million projection of sales for this card, which would equal 5 trillion in revenue. What do you think about the Trump Gold Card and that projection?
Well, yeah, there's like there's ways to get citizenship without paying that much money. So my first thought is, who are these people paying that money, and like what are they hiding if they're just trying to buy it, right? And it would be kind of funny for a president that talks so much about like, wanting to eliminate fentanyl and having problems with drug dealers, like, drug dealers are the kind of people that would want to just pay money to get in and to not ask a lot of questions. So it would be funny with his huge campaign against drugs if he ended up, letting a lot of drug dealers in the country through this gold card. But it's just like, it's the kind of thing that like, I'm of two minds about it. The first mind is like, we're in a lot of debt. I don't mind, having creative ways to get funds, right? I don't mind that at all. But it does kind of talk out of both sides of your mouth if you just like, we don't want like bad people, criminals. We don't want to like, what you're basically saying is like, rich criminals are okay because someone can just buy in and a criminal could get in, like, especially someone that doesn't want to go through the regular channels. So yeah, it is kind of funny. It does say that a little bit, like, we'll take anyone that's rich, but poor people that want to come into the country, that's a problem, and I hate it.
I felt like we were highlighting a lot towards the end of last year the lagging nature that the Russell and a lot of the small cap stocks had throughout the better part of 2024. And then maybe in this early part of 2025, before we've seen this recent pullback, we're seeing a broadening of the market. How do you feel about the small cap stocks? I feel like we haven't checked the temperature on that in a little while. Obviously, you can't feel, I guess,
Yeah.
great right now because you're overall bearish, but maybe at the end of this bearish turn, what's your latest on that?
I'm not a big fan of small caps right now, and I'm back to shorting a decent number of them. I mean, in risky environments, and we're in a risky environment, like in bearish environments, small caps are great targets. I mean, the one thing you want to watch out with small caps is you want to avoid small caps that have already been hit a lot, because like that is a place people can find value. But small caps that have had like a nice 6 months, nice year, like those are great targets.
And when we're seeing a pullback in the overall markets, and especially today when a lot of stuff is red, is it very telling that there is bullish investors in a company if they're able to be green on a day like today where a lot of stuff is red, especially if they're in like a segment of the market, like if you're in a growthier or place of the market like that, and you're also green? Would you note that in your mind as being a stock that when the market finally turns may be able to outperform?
Yeah, definitely.
I asked that because I noticed like Square is up 4% today, something that you've said, or Block, I guess, you've felt good about. It obviously had a big pullback of its own, but now with crypto down and growth stocks down, being up 4%, um, does that tell you anything about them?
Yeah, I mean that does like I mean I'm not sure that is enough, but like yeah, I think that is the kind of stock that works in this market. Things that have gotten beat up.
Hmm. Okay, I have one more question, and then maybe we could turn over to the model portfolio. So I think just your last thoughts on Nvidia before they report after the bell today. We covered it on Monday, their first report since the DeepSeek saga was unveiled. Um, how are you feeling now that we are right up against it? And do you think that their report will affect companies like SMCI, like AMD, Broadcom, or Intel, or any of the other chip makers um, once they announce?
Oh yeah, they always they always do. Um, like that's going to be a bellwether. A lot of people look to Nvidia earnings, and they're typically later in the season, so it can be something that like even if a company has had good earnings and Nvidia like is down like or says something concerning, you can go the other way. I think it's going to be like I'm saying. I'm concerned. I don't want like it could go very well. They're such in the end they're great with their performance, but I really think they have to answer to DeepSeek, and I don't really know what their answer is, right? Because like we talked about, like even if they come out and say we have something similar, we have more efficient efficient compute, they want to sell as much compute as possible. Efficient compute isn't really good for them. So like unless they have a really compelling reason that you wouldn't want to use these like newer, cheaper models, like or they have some really compelling information that DeepSeek is lying about how expensive or like it is to build their models. I mean, I think it's tough. Like, I think it's going to be tough, and I think I think like I said, they could theoretically have a good earnings report and just not have good answers about DeepSeek, and they could go down.
We have a little bit of time, so I feel like I could share this thought with you. And I don't know, it was eye opening to me when I heard this guy speaking about today about like the how these large language models need to be, they need all this data center capacity now since the technology is in its infancy. And he was equating it to like computers and how big they used to be versus now how it's like you have even a more powerful computer than they had in the 2000s on your iPhone, and how he believed these large language models that need tens of thousands of NVIDIA GPUs and these large data centers to run one day will be able to be run just on a phone, like how the internet and computers, that technology scaled. Do you think there's any truth to that? And if there is, like long term, what does that mean for these data center companies or chip companies, or if it becomes so efficient and be able to run on like a smaller scale?
I mean, to me, that's kind of like quantum computing, right? Where it's just like, I mean, I that's theoretically possible, but I don't necessarily see it happening anytime soon, and I don't necessarily think there's a high probability of that. But I think eventually we'll get there. I'm just not sure it's going to happen in my lifetime.
Okay, so that's a very long timeline then, because we'll be around for a while, me and you. So, but that is all I have for today. I don't see any questions. So, do you want to do the switch over and we'll do the model portfolio?
Yeah, let's do it. That might be a hard job.
All right. We'll see George on the other side. Everybody stick here with me. Let's see. I think I see the QQQ has poked up into the green for the day. So, uh, after a bit of volatility this week, maybe we have found some type of support. The SPY is still slightly red, but is also going back to the even line, just barely red as of now. The Russell, same thing, almost flat for the day. The Dow is still leading towards the downside, down 0.4% on the day. Let's see how we're doing on YouTube. Did we get any more likes from our nearly 500 viewers between YouTube and Twitter today so far, or X? I can see how many total people watched it, but I can't see the split between YouTube and X. So that's why I always just give you guys the total. I see we're stuck at 11 likes, so let's see if we could we could pop that any higher if you guys enjoyed our topics. Sorry, we had a bit of technical things to work through today. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I don't think the picture was great, a little bit laggy, but what can you do? All right, so I'm looking at the QQQ net options sentiment in Prospero, and we are at 36, which is the highest I've seen in a little bit. So looks like maybe some beginnings of a bullish turn, possibly. QQQ up to 36. If you look at the trend, it's starting to come back higher from the lows it was at. So I think that's why George was talking about it so difficult right now with the QQQ being at 36 and the SPY, I just pulled it up, still being at 0. So highly divergent there. I think that's just about the most separation I've ever seen those signals for those two indexes. And the SPY is basically flatlined at 0 for this entire week. So very difficult market to read. We'll see what George decides to do when he gets back in here. If we have any new viewers, what we do now is George makes live moves. So you get to see what stocks he adds and drops to the model portfolio, which has been able to outperform the markets for years now. So I think it's pretty valuable to see. And usually it only gets sent out to paid newsletter readers, but when you watch the live streams, you get to see it for free. So stick around. We're just about to get into that. Let's see if any changes. I don't think I've read off some of the, see if there's been any changes in Bitcoin. It was plunging the last time I looked at it. Okay, so Bitcoin's back up to 83,800. So after that recent dip where I caught it kind of right at the lows of where it was, it's back popping higher now. I'm very interested. Anybody else going to be focused on the NVIDIA earnings after the bell? Who's going to be watching it in the chat? I'm very interested to see what companies move from it. Mario Mex is going to be watching the NVIDIA earnings. He said, yep. We got two Marios in here, regular, just straight Mario, and then Mario Mex. I got to start differentiating you two because you guys always comment, but I usually just say Mario. Okay, the SPY has now turned green for the day. So fighting back here. Looks like we are, maybe we found a bottom. It looks like yesterday and today we have the a very similar lows and coming back off. So double bottom in process. Mario Mex said forward guidance will be critical.
All right.
NVIDIA
Where
taking
is
off right now.
SPY/QQQ?
So SPY is at, well, SPY is at 0, QQQ is at 36.
God,
NVIDIA is now up over 4% on the day heading into the earnings. In the year of volatility, again, we have a divergence between SPY and QQQ net option sentiment. QQQ at 36, SPY at 0. This will have...
sorry, not fast enough.
growth is having a better day, but mostly strong on the mid-cap side. Mid-cap value is the lowest, so big divergence. Interesting to see consumer defensive looking so strong 1 month and 1 week, but bad today. Looks like it could be a correction. Consumer discretionary did not recover today, as well as tech. So maybe some opportunities there.
Oh damn, we were short Home Depot. They had a really nice. I thought we exited the wolf positions. Guess not. Damn, seeing so many indexes on the bottom there is concerning.
I see a question from David Brennan. Hi, folks. Wondering if there are any plans to include LSE or European stocks in Prospero app. Cheers.
Yeah, probably at some point. Nothing too immediate, but like yeah, definitely at some point. Okay. That's good. I think that is everything. All right, now let's just take a look. These. RAM. That looks good. Snow is looking a little low. Okay, that all looks good. Any questions?
Just STD deviation. Can I recommend a quieter keyboard?
No, I like my loud keyboard. I like the haptics.
No questions besides that. All eyes now turn to NVIDIA after the bell. So we will see. But have a nice day, everyone. See you back here next week, Monday, 11 a.m. Bye, everyone.